Life after 61 is often described as a phase of reflection, a time to look back on the road traveled, but also to decide what baggage we no longer wish to carry forward. It's an opportunity for liberation, a chance to unburden ourselves and embrace a simpler, more meaningful existence. For many, this means letting go of unnecessary worries, attachments, and societal expectations. But how do we begin this journey? In today's video, we'll explore 9 transformative insights to help you navigate this path. These aren't just ideas, they're actionable steps rooted in mindfulness and Buddhist teachings. Together, we'll uncover how to let go of what no longer serves us and create space for peace, joy, and intentional living. Let's dive into each insight. Number 1, letting go of worrying about others' opinions. Letting go of worrying about others' opinions is a transformative practice that can greatly improve your emotional well-being. One of the heaviest burdens we carry in life is the constant concern about how others perceive us. This fear, often rooted in insecurities, has a way of controlling our thoughts and actions. It affects our decision-making, how we express ourselves, and ultimately how we live. This pressure to conform to societal expectations, to fit a certain mold, and to gain approval from those around us often leads us away from our true selves. But if we pause for a moment and reflect, we realize that this constant preoccupation with others' opinions is neither necessary nor helpful. The fundamental truth is that people's opinions of you are more about them than they are about you. Every person carries their own beliefs, values, and judgments, which influence the way they view others. These views are shaped by their experiences, their upbringing, and their personal circumstances. It's important to understand that people perceive the world through their own filters, and their judgments may not reflect your true essence or intentions. In fact, when we worry excessively about others' opinions, we allow their perceptions to shape our reality. We start living for them, not for ourselves. We make decisions based on what others might think, and we adjust our behavior to avoid disapproval or gain validation. This results in a life that is not authentic because it is driven by external expectations instead of internal desires. From a Buddhist perspective, this constant worry about others' opinions stems from attachment to approval, reputation, and identity. The Buddha taught that clinging to these external validations only leads to suffering. We attach ourselves to the idea of how we want to be seen by others, and when we don't receive the expected approval, it brings discomfort, frustration, and even despair. This attachment creates an illusion of control over our happiness, as if our well-being depends on the fleeting judgments of others. However, this attachment ultimately keeps us stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to practice non-attachment. This doesn't mean we stop caring about how others feel or completely disregard their opinions, but it invites us to release the need for validation from others. By practicing non-attachment, we free ourselves from the emotional burden of constantly trying to meet others' expectations. Non-attachment allows us to act from a place of inner strength, rather than reacting to external pressure. So, how can we cultivate this practice in our daily lives? It begins with a simple question: whose opinion truly matters in the grand scheme of my life? When you ask yourself this question, the answer is likely no one but your own. You are the only person who truly knows your intentions, your struggles, and your desires. Your happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from how others see you. Therefore, the opinions of others should not have the power to define who you are or the choices you make. Mindful practice can help you begin to shift away from the need for external validation. The next time you find yourself worrying about someone's opinion, take a step back. Pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Notice the feeling of discomfort or anxiety that arises when you think about someone's judgment. Acknowledge it without judgment. This is a natural reaction, but it doesn't have to dictate your actions. Remind yourself, their thoughts are their own. They do not define me. You are not responsible for how others think or feel. You only have control over your own actions and responses. Once you've taken a breath and centered yourself, return to your values and let them guide your actions. Ask yourself, what is true for me in this situation? What aligns with my values and my sense of purpose? Let your inner compass lead the way, not the fear of judgment. The more you practice this approach, the more you will start to realize that others' opinions hold less and less weight in your life. You will begin to live more authentically, true to who you are, and free from the constant pressure of seeking approval. It's also helpful to recognize that people's opinions change. What someone thinks of you today may not be the same tomorrow. People's views are often influenced by their own moods, experiences, and biases, and they may not be based on an accurate understanding of you as an individual. By letting go of the need to control others' opinions, you allow yourself to be free from the roller coaster of fluctuating judgments. Another important aspect of this practice is self-compassion. When you stop worrying about others' opinion, make space to be kind and gentle with yourself. Instead of criticizing yourself for not meeting others' expectations, you begin to accept and embrace who you are. Self-compassion allows you to make mistakes without feeling like they define your worth. You can learn, grow, and evolve without the heavy burden of judgment weighing you down. Additionally, surrounding yourself with people who genuinely support and encourage your authentic self can make a world of difference. These individuals will value you for who you truly are rather than for what they expect you to be. Their positive influence can help you stay grounded in your values and provide the reassurance that you are enough just as you are. It's important to remember that the right people in your life will appreciate you without needing to control or change you. In conclusion, letting go of worrying about others' opinions is a liberating process that allows you to reclaim your sense of self and live more authentically. It requires awareness, courage, and consistent practice, but the rewards are worth it. When you stop letting the judgments of others dictate your actions, you create the space for true self-expression, inner peace, and personal growth. You become the author of your own story, and the opinions of others fade into the background, no longer holding the power they once did. Number 2, releasing the burden of material possessions. Releasing the burden of material possessions is a practice that can bring immense relief, clarity, and freedom to our lives. As we journey through life, accumulating things becomes a natural part of our existence, whether it's the clothes we wear, the gadgets we use, the furniture in our homes, or the collections we've amassed over the years. These possessions tend to define us in some way. However, as we grow older, we may begin to realize that these material things can feel more like a burden than a source of joy. What once brought us comfort or status can start to weigh heavily on us. It can clutter not only our living spaces, but also our minds, leaving us with a sense of overwhelm and an ever-growing desire to hold on to what we've accumulated. The idea of decluttering is not simply about tidying up physical spaces. It's about shedding the mental and emotional clutter that comes with the attachment to material possessions. Each item we hold onto, whether out of nostalgia, guilt, or fear of letting go, holds a certain energy. These objects can create a sense of attachment that ties us to the past, keeping us from living fully in the present. The practice of releasing material possessions, therefore, can serve as a powerful metaphor for releasing the mental clutter that limits our growth and well-being. The Buddhist principle of impermanence is central to understanding why letting go of material things is so important. In Buddhism, impermanence, or anicca, teaches us that everything in life is transient. Nothing, whether it's a person, an experience, or an object, remains the same forever. Our cherished belongings, which once seemed permanent and irreplaceable, are no exception. They are subject to wear and tear, decay, and eventually disappearance. The more we resist this reality and cling to the things we've accumulated, the more we experience suffering. Holding on to things out of habit or guilt prevents us from embracing the flow of life and accepting that change is inevitable. The attachment to material possessions often arises from a sense of identity. We may define ourselves by the things we own, seeing them as extensions of who we are. Our homes become a reflection of our successes, our possessions become symbols of status, and our collections may carry sentimental value that connects us to the past. However, these attachments can lead to a false sense of security and fulfillment. The truth is, no matter how much we accumulate, we cannot take any of it with us when we leave this world. The more we hold on to possessions for the wrong reasons, the more we find ourselves living in the past, unable to fully experience the present or envision the future. Letting go of possessions that no longer serve a meaningful purpose allows us to free ourselves from these attachments and focus on what truly matters. By releasing material things that we no longer need, we create space for new experiences, new perspectives, and a clearer mind. This process of decluttering becomes a form of self-liberation as we free ourselves from the burden of excess and embrace a simpler, more mindful existence. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in this process. When we approach the act of decluttering with mindfulness, we become more aware of our attachments and the reasons behind them. Rather than mindlessly discarding items, we take a moment to reflect on each object and ask ourselves, does this bring me joy or serve a meaningful purpose? This simple yet profound question allows us to examine the emotional and psychological weight of each item. It helps us identify whether we are holding onto something out of genuine need or whether we are clinging to it out of habit, guilt, or fear of letting go. The practice of mindful decluttering can be done in small, manageable steps. Choose one area of your home or life to begin with, perhaps a closet, a drawer, or a shelf. Set aside time to carefully go through each item in that space. As you pick up each object, pause and ask yourself, does this truly bring me joy or contribute to my life in a meaningful way? If the answer is no, thank the item for its service and let it go. This doesn't mean that you have to throw everything away. Some items may hold value for others, and some may simply need to be donated, recycled, or repurposed. The key is to release the attachment and free yourself from the obligation of holding on to things that no longer serve you. One of the most challenging aspects of letting go of possessions is the emotional attachment we develop over time. Items can hold memories, experiences, and connections to the people and events in our lives. These memories can be powerful, and the thought of parting with something that has sentimental value can feel like we are losing a piece of ourselves. However, it's important to recognize that the memory or experience associated with an object is not contained in the object itself. It exists within us, in our hearts and minds. Letting go of the physical item does not erase the memory. Rather, it frees us from the burden of holding on to something that no longer serves a purpose. Another important aspect of decluttering is recognizing the impact that material possessions have on our sense of well-being. In modern society, consumerism encourages us to constantly acquire more things, often leading to feelings of inadequacy or dissatisfaction. We are told that happiness is found in the latest gadgets, the trendiest clothes, or the biggest house. But the truth is, these things provide only temporary satisfaction. True contentment comes not from accumulation, but from within, from living in alignment with our values, from nurturing relationships, and from finding peace in the present moment. By simplifying our physical space, we create an environment that supports clarity, focus, and inner peace. A cluttered space often leads to a cluttered mind. When our surroundings are filled with things that no longer serve a purpose, our mental and emotional energy is scattered, and it becomes difficult to concentrate on what truly matters. On the other hand, when we release the excess and embrace simplicity, we create a space that nurtures creativity, mindfulness, and well-being. In conclusion, releasing the burden of material possessions is a practice that can bring profound transformation to our lives. By letting go of what no longer serves us, we free ourselves from the attachments that keep us stuck in the past and allow us to live more fully in the present. This process of decluttering is not just about tidying up physical space. It is an opportunity to declutter the mind, to release unnecessary burdens, and to create room for what truly matters. As we embrace the Buddhist principle of impermanence, we learn to let go with grace, recognizing that nothing is permanent and that the true treasures in life are not found in things, but in experiences, relationships, and inner peace. Number 3, freeing yourself from unnecessary social obligations. Freeing yourself from unnecessary social obligations is a vital step toward reclaiming your time, energy, and well-being. As we navigate life, society often imposes a set of expectations and norms about how we should spend our time. These expectations are shaped by cultural values, familial pressures, and social conventions. Whether it's attending social gatherings, maintaining certain relationships, or participating in activities that don't feel fulfilling, many of us find ourselves obligated to do things that do not align with our personal desires, values, or needs. As a result, we may experience burnout, resentment, or even a sense of disconnection from our true selves. As we grow older, the pressure to conform to social expectations may increase. People may expect us to uphold family traditions, attend events, or engage in social circles simply because it's what's expected of us. The guilt that accompanies saying no can be overwhelming, especially when we fear disappointing others or being perceived as rude. However, the key to living a more fulfilling and authentic life is learning how to navigate these obligations in a way that serves our own well being rather than draining us. The concept of right intention in Buddhism offers a profound approach to freeing ourselves from unnecessary social obligations. Right intention is a central principle of the Noble Eightfold Path, which teaches us how to live with mindfulness and awareness. It encourages us to act with intention and clarity, aligning our actions with our true purpose and values. This means that every decision we make, including those related to social interactions, should be informed by our deeper sense of purpose. If an obligation or social engagement feels draining, misaligned, or at odds with our well being, it's important to recognize that it's okay to say no. In practice, right intention involves becoming more aware of our motivations and desires. It requires us to ask ourselves why we are saying yes to a particular invitation or commitment. Are we attending out of genuine interest and connection, or are we saying yes out of a sense of duty, fear of rejection, or societal pressure? By aligning our actions with our authentic selves, we can make choices that nourish us rather than deplete us. This allows us to live with greater intention and purpose rather than merely fulfilling obligations that do not serve us. One of the most difficult aspects of freeing ourselves from unnecessary social obligations is the fear of disappointing others. We may worry about hurting someone's feelings or feeling guilty for not meeting their expectations. However, it's important to remember that we cannot be everything to everyone. We all have finite energy, and constantly stretching ourselves thin to meet the demands of others ultimately takes away from our ability to care for ourselves. Saying no is not an act of rejection, but an act of self-respect. By acknowledging our limits and prioritizing our own needs, we are better equipped to engage with others in a way that is meaningful and authentic. Mindful practice plays a crucial role in helping us navigate social obligations with clarity and intention. Before committing to any social engagement or responsibility, it's helpful to pause and reflect on the request. Take a moment to check in with yourself and assess whether the commitment aligns with your values and energy at that particular time. Ask yourself, does this align with my values and energy right now? Consider the emotional, mental, and physical resources that the obligation will require. Will attending the gathering, participating in the event, or maintaining the relationship contribute to your well-being, or will it deplete your energy? If the answer is no, it's okay to politely decline. This simple yet powerful practice of reflection helps us make more conscious decisions. It encourages us to take ownership of our time and energy, ensuring that we invest in experiences that contribute to our growth, happiness, and well-being. Additionally, this practice empowers us to say no without guilt or shame. By recognizing that our time and energy are precious, we can choose where to direct them in a way that supports our goals and aspirations. Saying no doesn't have to be confrontational or dismissive. It's important to practice kindness and gratitude when declining invitations or commitments. A gentle and respectful response can help preserve relationships while also honoring your own boundaries. For example, you might say, "Thank you so much for the invitation, but I'll have to pass this time. I appreciate you thinking of me." This simple response expresses gratitude and consideration without compromising your own needs. Over time, as you practice saying no with intention and mindfulness, you may notice that your relationships shift. People who truly respect and understand your boundaries will appreciate your honesty and self-awareness. Those who may have relied on your constant availability may need to adjust, but this can lead to healthier, more authentic connections. By prioritizing your own well-being you create space for more meaningful relationships that are based on mutual respect and shared values, rather than obligation. Another important aspect of freeing yourself from unnecessary social obligations is recognizing that not every invitation or event needs to be attended. In today's fast paced, interconnected world, there is often a sense of pressure to be constantly available and engaged. Social media, work emails, and constant communication make it difficult to disconnect and carve out time for ourselves. However, true self care involves setting boundaries and recognizing that it's okay to take a break from the social whirlwind. Whether it's choosing to skip a party, avoiding unnecessary meetings, or taking time off from social media, the act of creating space for yourself is a powerful form of self care. In Buddhism, there is also the concept of right livelihood, which encourages individuals to engage in work and activities that align with their values and contribute to their well being. While this principle primarily applies to one's career or professional life, it can also be extended to social obligations. By considering whether the social commitments we undertake contribute to our well being and align with our true values, we can ensure that we are living in harmony with our purpose. In conclusion, freeing yourself from unnecessary social obligations is a vital practice for living a balanced, fulfilling life. By aligning your actions with your true values and practicing mindfulness in your decision making, you can make choices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Saying no when necessary is not an act of selfishness, but a demonstration of self-respect and self-awareness. Over time, you will find that by releasing the pressure to meet every social expectation, you create more space for meaningful experiences, authentic relationships, and personal growth. Embrace the power of right intention and let it guide you toward a life that is true to yourself. Number 4, embracing the beauty of aging. Embracing the beauty of aging is a transformative practice that allows us to shift our focus from the superficial concerns of appearance to a deeper appreciation of the life we've lived and the wisdom we've gained. In a society that often places immense value on youth and physical appearance, it can be difficult to embrace the inevitable passage of time. Wrinkles, gray hairs, and changes in our body may be seen as signs of decline or loss, but in reality, they are reflections of a life well lived, full of experiences, growth, and lessons learned. Aging is not something to fear or resist. It is an opportunity to celebrate the richness of our journey and to cultivate gratitude for the present moment. The preoccupation with appearance is a societal trap that is deeply ingrained in our culture. We are constantly bombarded with messages about the importance of looking young, attractive, and flawless. Media, advertisements, and social norms reinforce the idea that beauty is tied to youth. And as we grow older, we may feel pressure to conform to these ideals. This can lead to feelings of insecurity, shame, and self-doubt, as we may begin to see ourselves as less valuable or worthy as our physical appearance changes. The pursuit of eternal youth can become an exhausting and futile endeavor, distracting us from the deeper truths of our existence. However, aging offers a unique opportunity to shift our focus inward, to embrace the wisdom that comes with the passage of time, and to let go of the superficial attachments to appearance. In Buddhism, the principle of impermanence, anicca, reminds us that everything in life is transient, including our bodies. Our physical appearance is constantly changing, and as we age, we may notice the natural signs of these changes, such as wrinkles, graying hair, and shifts in our energy levels. Rather than resisting these changes, Buddhism teaches us to accept them as part of the natural flow of life. Aging is not something to fight against. It is an inherent part of the cycle of existence, and it brings with it its own unique beauty. When we embrace the beauty of aging, we come to recognize that each stage of life offers its own gifts and opportunities. Youth may be associated with vitality, possibility, and exploration, but older age brings wisdom, reflection, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The experiences we accumulate over the years shape who we are, and the lines on our faces and the graying of our hair are the physical markers of this journey. Rather than seeing these changes as flaws, we can choose to view them as badges of honor, symbols of resilience, and testaments to the richness of our lives. The act of embracing aging is not about rejecting our desire for health or self-care, but about shifting our perspective. It is about moving away from the fixation on external appearance and embracing the internal beauty that comes from living a full life. Aging allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of self acceptance and self love. Instead of striving for perfection or the unattainable ideal of eternal youth, we can learn to appreciate the unique beauty that comes with the passage of time. In many cultures, older individuals are revered for their wisdom and life experience. As we age, we are given the opportunity to become elders, offering guidance and support to younger generations. This role can bring a sense of purpose and fulfillment, as we realize that our value is not defined by our physical appearance, but by the knowledge and compassion we can offer to others. The ability to share our stories, teach our values, and contribute to the well-being of our communities becomes one of the greatest gifts of aging. Mindful practice is a powerful tool for cultivating acceptance and gratitude for the aging process. One of the simplest yet most profound practices is to spend a few minutes each day looking in the mirror and offering yourself words of gratitude. This practice shifts our focus from judgment and criticism to appreciation and acceptance. As we look at ourselves, we can acknowledge the changes that have occurred and express gratitude for the body that has carried us through the many stages of our journey. A simple phrase such as, "Thank you, body, for carrying me through this journey," can be incredibly transformative. This act of self-compassion allows us to honor the physical vessel that has supported us through the joys and challenges of life. It reminds us that our bodies are not objects to be scrutinized or judged, but rather sacred tools that enable us to live, experience, and grow. By expressing gratitude for our bodies, we cultivate a sense of respect and reverence for the natural aging process. As we continue with this practice, we may begin to notice a shift in our perspective. Instead of focusing on perceived imperfections or signs of aging, we become more attuned to the deeper aspects of ourselves. We may begin to appreciate the way our bodies have served us over the years, from carrying us through the highs and lows of life to allowing us to experience the simple joys of being alive. This shift in perspective can lead to greater peace and acceptance, as we come to realize that our worth is not determined by how we look, but by who we are and how we live. In addition to expressing gratitude, another way to embrace the beauty of aging is to take care of ourselves in ways that nurture both our bodies and minds. Aging is not just about accepting the changes that come with time. It is also about honoring our bodies by practicing self-care and cultivating a sense of vitality and well-being. This might involve regular physical exercise, nourishing foods, sufficient rest, and engaging in activities that bring us joy and fulfillment. By treating ourselves with kindness and care, we can enhance our overall sense of well-being and create an aging experience that is filled with vitality and energy. Buddhism teaches that acceptance of impermanence is the key to peace and freedom. When we accept the natural flow of life, we stop resisting the inevitable and start living more fully in the present. The process of aging is a part of that flow, and by embracing it with mindfulness and gratitude, we can experience a profound sense of peace. Aging is not a decline. It is a continuation of our journey, an opportunity to reflect, to grow, and to find beauty in the passing of time. In conclusion, embracing the beauty of aging requires a shift in perspective, moving from a focus on appearance to a deeper appreciation of the wisdom and experiences that come with each stage of life. By practicing mindfulness and gratitude, we can learn to honor our bodies and the process of aging as part of the natural flow of existence. As we age, we gain the opportunity to become wiser, more compassionate, and more accepting of ourselves and others. Aging is not something to be feared or resisted, but something to be celebrated, a beautiful and inevitable part of the human experience. Number 5, eliminating unfulfilling activities. Eliminating unfulfilling activities is an essential practice in creating a life of purpose, joy, and balance. As we grow older, time becomes increasingly precious. The realization that our time is limited often prompts a deep reflection on how we spend our days. Many of us find ourselves caught in routines that involve activities we engage in out of habit or obligation, not out of true joy or fulfillment. These activities may drain our energy, waste our time, and prevent us from engaging in the things that truly nourish our minds, bodies, and spirits. By taking a more mindful approach to how we allocate our time, we can begin to eliminate the activities that no longer serve us and create space for those that bring us true happiness and meaning. In today's fast paced world, it's easy to get caught up in a whirlwind of responsibilities, social expectations, and commitments. We may attend events, perform tasks, or engage in routines because we feel obligated, rather than because they bring us joy. The fear of missing out, the pressure to keep up with others, and the desire to meet external expectations can all contribute to this cycle. Over time, these unfulfilling activities can accumulate, leaving us feeling drained, disconnected, and dissatisfied with how we spend our days. This can lead to burnout, a lack of motivation, and an overwhelming sense of time slipping away without ever fully appreciating or enjoying the present moment. In Buddhism, mindfulness is a key practice, and one of the central tenets of mindfulness is the ability to act with intention. The Buddha emphasized the importance of being fully present in each moment and performing every action with awareness and purpose. When we engage in activities mindfully, even the simplest tasks can become sources of joy, satisfaction, and meaning. For example, washing dishes, gardening, or walking can be transformed into mindful practices if we do them with full attention, appreciating each moment for what it is. On the other hand, when we act out of habit or obligation, we may perform these same tasks in a distracted or resentful way, robbing ourselves of the opportunity to find fulfillment in them. Mindfulness in action allows us to cultivate a deeper connection with our daily experiences. When we approach our activities with intention, we can bring a sense of presence and awareness to even the most mundane tasks. We may find that an activity that once felt burdensome or unimportant can be transformed into a source of peace or creativity. For instance, if we approach a work task with intention, focusing on the purpose behind it and the satisfaction of completing it well, we may feel a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. However, if we approach the same task out of habit or to meet external demands, we may feel drained or frustrated, as if we're simply going through the motions. In contrast, when we act out of habit or obligation, we are often disengaged from the activity itself. We may be preoccupied with our to-do lists, thinking about the next task, or worrying about how we're being perceived by others. This distracts us from the present moment and prevents us from finding joy in what we are doing. Over time, these unfulfilling activities can pile up, contributing to stress and fatigue. Our energy is spread thin, and we begin to feel like we are merely going through the motions of life rather than fully living it. Eliminating unfulfilling activities begins with an honest audit of how we spend our time. By taking a step back and evaluating our daily routines, we can identify which activities are serving us and which are draining us. The process of conducting this audit is an opportunity to reflect on what truly matters to us and how we can better align our actions with our values and goals. Mindful practice can be helpful in guiding this process. One effective way to begin eliminating unfulfilling activities is to create a list of your daily activities. Take a few moments to write down everything you do in a typical day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. This could include work, household chores, social obligations, personal hobbies, and any other activities that fill your time. Once you have the list, take a look at each activity and ask yourself, does this nourish my spirit? This simple question can help you determine whether the activity is aligned with your true desires, values, and well-being. If the answer is yes, then you know that the activity is contributing to your happiness and fulfillment. It may bring you joy, support your health, help you grow, or foster meaningful connections. Keep these activities in your routine, as they are likely adding value to your life. However, if the answer is no, it's time to consider how you can reduce or eliminate the activity. Ask yourself why you continue to engage in this task and whether it is truly necessary. Is it something you do out of habit, obligation, or fear of missing out? Is it an activity that drains your energy or creates stress without offering any true benefit? Once you've identified the unfulfilling activities, it's time to take action. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eliminate them completely, but it does mean that you can start to make more intentional choices about how you spend your time. For example, if you find that you are attending social events out of obligation rather than desire, you can start saying no to invitations that don't align with your values or energy levels. If you are spending too much time on activities that don't bring you joy, such as mindlessly scrolling through social media or watching television, you can set limits and replace these activities with more fulfilling pursuits, like reading, exercising, or spending time with loved ones. Reducing or eliminating unfulfilling activities can free up time and energy for the things that truly nourish your spirit. It can also help you create space for new experiences, personal growth, and meaningful connections. When we stop pouring our energy into things that drain us, we create room for activities that support our well being, whether that's pursuing a passion, nurturing relationships, or simply enjoying the present moment. Mindful practices such as meditation, journaling, or deep breathing can support this process by helping you connect more deeply with your inner self and desires. By becoming more aware of your needs and values, you can make decisions that align with your authentic self and cultivate a sense of fulfillment in your daily life. In conclusion, eliminating unfulfilling activities is a powerful practice for living a more intentional and joyful life. By conducting an honest audit of how we spend our time and aligning our actions with our values, we can let go of the activities that drain our energy and embrace those that nourish our spirit. When we act with mindfulness and intention, even the simplest tasks can become sources of fulfillment. Ultimately, it is the conscious choices we make each day that shape the quality of our lives, and by eliminating the unfulfilling, we open the door to a life that is richer, more meaningful, and full of purpose. Number 6, setting boundaries with toxic relationships. Setting boundaries with toxic relationships is a necessary and empowering practice for maintaining emotional health, protecting your well-being, and fostering personal growth. While relationships are often one of life's greatest joys, they can also be a source of pain, particularly when they become toxic. Toxic relationships are those that drain your energy, undermine your sense of self-worth, and create ongoing emotional turmoil. These relationships may come from family members, friends, coworkers, or even romantic partners. And they often involve behaviors such as manipulation, criticism, disrespect, or emotional unavailability. Holding on to such relationships out of fear, guilt, or habit can prevent you from fully thriving and hinder your personal growth. The difficulty in letting go of toxic relationships often lies in the emotional attachment and the fear of confrontation or abandonment. Many people find themselves staying in harmful relationships because they feel obligated or are afraid of the negative consequences of setting boundaries. For example, the fear of losing the relationship or being misunderstood may prevent someone from asserting their needs or distancing themselves from toxic behaviors. However, staying in a toxic relationship, especially when boundaries are not set, can lead to emotional exhaustion, anxiety, and a diminished sense of self-worth. One of the fundamental teachings of Buddhism is compassion, which is not just for others, but for yourself as well. Compassion involves recognizing suffering and seeking to alleviate it, but it begins with self-compassion. In order to cultivate compassion for others, you must first honor and protect your own peace. This includes acknowledging when a relationship is harmful to your mental and emotional health and taking the necessary steps to protect yourself. Buddhism teaches that non-attachment is key to inner peace, and this principle can be applied to relationships as well. While you may have love and compassion for someone, it's important to recognize that attachment to a toxic relationship can prevent both your personal growth and the growth of the other person involved. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love and respect, not selfishness. It is an essential step in preserving your emotional well-being and creating the space needed for healthy, nurturing relationships. Boundaries are not about rejecting or punishing others. They are about protecting yourself from harm and ensuring that your needs are respected. When you set healthy boundaries, you communicate to others that you value yourself and you teach them how to treat you with respect. This creates a foundation for more balanced, harmonious relationships where both parties can thrive. The process of setting boundaries may be challenging at first, especially in relationships where patterns of behavior have already been established. For example, if someone has repeatedly overstepped your boundaries or mistreated you, they may be resistant to the change. They may try to guilt you or manipulate you into keeping things the same. However, it's crucial to remember that setting boundaries is an act of self care, and it is not your responsibility to carry the emotional weight of someone else's behavior. You cannot change others, but you can change how you allow their actions to affect you. One way to begin setting boundaries is to reflect on the specific behaviors or actions in the relationship that are causing harm. Are there recurring patterns of disrespect, manipulation, or emotional harm? Are you constantly giving more than you are receiving, or are your needs being ignored? Once you identify the areas where boundaries need to be set, you can begin to think about what those boundaries might look like. Boundaries could involve limiting contact with a person, setting clear expectations for how you wish to be treated, or choosing to disengage from conversations or situations that cause emotional distress. Mindfulness can be a powerful tool in setting and maintaining boundaries. The Buddhist practice of mindfulness involves being fully present and aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. It helps you cultivate a deeper understanding of your emotional needs and reactions, allowing you to make decisions with clarity and wisdom. When dealing with a difficult relationship, mindfulness can help you assess the impact that the relationship has on your mental and emotional state. One mindful practice that can support you in setting boundaries with toxic relationships is visualization. Imagine yourself surrounded by a protective bubble, an energetic shield that allows only positive energy and loving intentions to enter. Within this bubble, you are safe, calm, and at peace. Visualizing this protective shield can help you detach from the emotional pull of a toxic relationship, providing you with the clarity to recognize when interactions feel harmful or when boundaries need to be established. This visualization also reinforces the idea that your peace and well being are paramount, and you have the power to protect yourself from negativity. As you visualize this protective bubble, take note of the interactions that feel healthy and those that feel unhealthy. In situations where you feel drained, manipulated, or disrespected, remember that you have the right to draw a line and disengage. Decide what types of interactions feel nurturing and what behaviors you are no longer willing to tolerate. Practice saying no, whether it's to negative comments, unreasonable demands, or actions that compromise your well-being. Saying no does not mean that you are rejecting the person. It simply means you are prioritizing your own mental and emotional health. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is communicating them clearly and assertively. You don't need to justify or explain your boundaries to others. They are your personal right to define. When you are clear about your boundaries, you set a strong foundation for healthy relationships. Assertive communication is about expressing your needs calmly, confidently, and respectfully. For example, if a friend continually interrupts you, you can say, "I value our conversations, but I need to finish speaking before I listen to your thoughts. Please respect that." This simple and direct approach helps to communicate your boundaries without anger or defensiveness, and it sets the tone for future interactions. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not set once and for all. They may need to be adjusted or reinforced over time. As relationships evolve, so too can the boundaries you set. If someone continues to violate your boundaries despite your efforts to communicate them, it may be necessary to reassess the relationship and consider distancing yourself further. It's okay to outgrow relationships that no longer align with your values or support your growth. Ultimately, setting boundaries with toxic relationships is about taking control of your life and choosing to prioritize your well-being. It is an act of self-love and self-respect, as you recognize that your emotional health and peace of mind are invaluable. While it may be challenging to set boundaries with people you care about, remember that doing so not only protects you, but also allows you to show up more fully for yourself and for others in healthy, supportive relationships. In conclusion, setting boundaries with toxic relationships is essential for maintaining your peace, emotional health, and personal growth. By practicing mindfulness, self compassion, and assertiveness, you can protect yourself from the negative impact of toxic people and create space for nurturing relationships. Visualization techniques, clear communication, and the understanding that boundaries are a form of self respect will help you navigate these difficult relationships with strength and clarity. Ultimately, setting boundaries allows you to honor your own needs while still extending compassion and understanding to others, fostering a life of peace and balance. Number 7, letting go of comparisons. Letting go of comparisons is one of the most liberating practices you can adopt in today's world, where social media and constant connectivity often fuel the desire to measure your life against others. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your achievements, appearance, lifestyle, and even your relationships to those of people around you, particularly when you are constantly exposed to curated glimpses of their lives on social media. These comparisons can feel overwhelming, as they often highlight what you perceive as lacking in your own life. But the truth is, comparison is the thief of joy, stealing your contentment and peace of mind. It prevents you from appreciating the unique beauty of your own journey and leads to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. The rise of social media has created a world where we are exposed to the highlight reels of others, filtered, edited, and often idealized portrayals of their lives. It's natural to feel the pull to compare ourselves to what we see, as we often measure our self-worth based on how we stack up against others. This comparison can manifest in many forms, whether it's comparing your physical appearance to others, your career success to that of your peers, or your relationships to the seemingly perfect lives of others. However, what we fail to recognize in these moments is that what we see on the surface is often a distorted reality. Social media tends to show only the best moments, often hiding the struggles, challenges, and imperfections that are part of every life. The danger of comparison lies in its ability to make us feel like we are falling short or missing something important. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we lose sight of our own achievements, progress, and unique qualities. We may feel inadequate, frustrated, or disheartened, believing that we are not living up to the expectations we have set for ourselves based on what others are doing. This can lead to self-doubt, anxiety, and a sense of never being good enough, which can rob us of the joy of simply being ourselves and living our lives authentically. In Buddhism, the concept of santosh, which translates to contentment, offers a powerful antidote to the destructive habit of comparison. Santosh encourages us to find peace and satisfaction with what we have, rather than constantly longing for what we don't have. The Buddha taught that happiness arises from appreciating the present moment and being content with our circumstances, rather than seeking fulfillment through external achievements or possessions. Contentment comes from within and is rooted in the recognition that we already have enough and that we are already whole, just as we are. This teaching of contentment reminds us to appreciate the blessings in our lives rather than focusing on what is missing or comparing ourselves to others. When we practice contentment, we shift our mindset from one of scarcity, where we believe we need more, better, or different, to one of abundance, where we recognize the wealth of experiences, relationships, and opportunities that we already possess. By cultivating a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the present moment, we can break free from the cycle of comparison and find peace in who we are and what we have. Your journey is uniquely yours, and that's what makes it beautiful. The experiences you have, the challenges you face, and the lessons you learn are part of your personal path. No one else can walk your journey for you, and no one else's path should be used as a benchmark for your own. While it is natural to feel inspired by the success or achievements of others, it's important to remember that your life is your own, and it unfolds in its own time and in its own way. The beauty of your life lies in its authenticity, embracing who you are, where you are, and what you have achieved so far. Mindful practice can be an effective way to shift your focus away from comparison and toward gratitude and contentment. One of the simplest yet most profound practices is to spend a few moments each evening reflecting on the things you are grateful for. Take a moment to write down 3 things you're thankful for. whether big or small. It could be something as simple as a warm cup of tea, a moment of laughter with a friend, or the feeling of your body in motion during a walk. Over time, this practice will help you develop a deeper appreciation for the blessings you have, shifting your focus from what is lacking to what is abundant in your life. Writing down things you are grateful for helps you shift your perspective, cultivating a mindset of abundance and contentment. Gratitude has the power to rewire your brain, turning your attention away from the external world and back toward the richness of your own life. As you continue this practice, you may begin to notice how much beauty, love, and joy already exist in your life. You may find that the desire to compare yourself to others fades as you realize that you have everything you need to be happy right now. Additionally, gratitude fosters a sense of inner peace and resilience. When you focus on what you are thankful for, it becomes easier to handle challenges and setbacks. You start to recognize that your worth is not defined by external circumstances, but by your ability to appreciate and find meaning in the life you are living. Instead of comparing yourself to others, you begin to cultivate self-acceptance and a deeper sense of joy, knowing that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. Another mindful practice to let go of comparisons is to limit your exposure to social media. While social media can be a tool for connection and inspiration, it can also be a source of stress and comparison. If you find yourself consistently comparing your life to others online, consider taking breaks from social media or curating your feed to include only accounts that inspire you in a positive way. Surround yourself with content that uplifts and encourages your personal growth, rather than content that leaves you feeling inadequate or envious. Remember, comparison is not only an obstacle to joy, but it also hinders your ability to embrace your unique gifts and talents. Everyone has their own timeline, their own journey, and their own challenges. The key to finding peace and fulfillment is not to measure yourself against others, but to embrace your own life and appreciate the progress you've made. Each step you take is part of a larger journey, one that is unfolding in its own perfect timing. In conclusion, letting go of comparisons is an essential step toward living a more peaceful, joyful, and contented life. By embracing the Buddhist teaching of Santosh, we can shift our focus from what we don't have to what we do have, cultivating gratitude for the present moment. Mindful practices, such as writing down things you're grateful for, can help you appreciate your own journey and release the urge to compare it to the lives of others. Your life is uniquely yours, and that is what makes it truly beautiful. By embracing this truth, you can find lasting happiness and contentment in the life you are living right now. Number 8, redefining goals for the present moment. Redefining goals for the present moment is an essential practice for creating a life that is both fulfilling and aligned with your values. In our fast-paced world, we are often encouraged to set ambitious, long-term goals that promise success, wealth, or status. While setting goals can provide motivation and direction, overly ambitious or unrealistic goals can often lead to frustration, burnout, and feelings of inadequacy. The relentless pursuit of these goals may take us further away from the present moment, causing us to miss out on the joy, peace, and fulfillment that is available to us right now. At this stage of life, it's crucial to shift the focus of our goals from distant, abstract achievements to more attainable, meaningful objectives that bring us joy and contribute to our well-being in the present. The idea of setting realistic, present-focused goals encourages us to prioritize what truly matters and to create a life that aligns with our values and desires. Many people fall into the trap of pursuing external markers of success, such as promotions, accolades, or material wealth, believing that these accomplishments will bring happiness. However, these goals often leave us feeling unfulfilled, as they are based on external validation rather than internal satisfaction. When we redefine our goals to be more in tune with the present moment, we create a sense of purpose that is grounded in who we are, what we value, and what truly brings us peace. In Buddhism, one of the central teachings is the importance of living in the present moment. The practice of mindfulness encourages us to be fully engaged with the here and now, rather than getting lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. When we focus on the present, We allow ourselves to experience life more fully, without the burden of chasing distant goals or outcomes. Buddhism teaches that happiness is not found in future achievements or possessions, but in the way we live each moment. By redefining our goals to focus on the present moment, we can cultivate a greater sense of peace, contentment, and joy in our daily lives. Rather than focusing on distant outcomes or idealized versions of success, we can ask ourselves, what can I do today that aligns with my values and brings me peace? This shift in perspective allows us to break down larger long-term goals into smaller, more manageable actions that contribute to our overall well-being. Instead of becoming overwhelmed by the idea of achieving something in the distant future, we focus on what we can do in the present to move toward a more meaningful and fulfilling life. This might mean focusing on the quality of your relationships, nurturing your physical and mental health, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and purpose. Setting goals in this way doesn't mean abandoning ambition or a sense of direction. Rather, it's about being intentional with your time and energy. By focusing on goals that are grounded in the present, you can make each day meaningful and purposeful instead of feeling like you're constantly striving for something that lies beyond your grasp. Small, achievable goals that align with your values allow you to celebrate progress in real time, which fosters a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. A key component of redefining your goals is learning to set goals that are both achievable and aligned with your current life circumstances. At this stage of life, it's important to recognize that our priorities and capabilities may have shifted. Instead of trying to meet unrealistic expectations or pursue goals that no longer serve us, we can embrace goals that nourish us emotionally, mentally, and physically. These goals may not be as grandiose as those we once set, but they are just as important in creating a life of balance, happiness, and fulfillment. For example, instead of aiming for a dramatic career change or a significant financial goal, you might focus on goals that support your overall well-being, such as establishing a regular self-care routine, cultivating mindfulness, or spending more time with loved ones. Mindfulness is a powerful tool in helping us redefine and achieve goals that are aligned with the present moment. When we approach our goals mindfully, we are more aware of our motivations, desires, and the impact of our actions. Mindful goal setting helps us focus on what is truly important, rather than getting caught up in external pressures or unrealistic expectations. The process of setting mindful goals involves being intentional about the goals we choose and ensuring that they reflect our values, well-being, and personal growth. This process also encourages us to be flexible, allowing room for adjustments along the way as we learn and grow. One simple and effective way to practice mindful goal setting is to set one small, achievable goal each morning. This goal could be something as simple as taking a walk, reading a chapter of a book, or practicing gratitude. The key is to choose something that is meaningful to you and aligns with your values and needs. By setting a goal that is small and manageable, you reduce the pressure to achieve something grandiose and instead create an opportunity for success in the present moment. This practice allows you to approach each day with intention, knowing that you are taking a step towards something that brings you joy and fulfillment. At the end of each day, take a moment to celebrate your success, no matter how small it may seem. This practice of self-recognition is essential in fostering a sense of accomplishment and self-compassion. Instead of focusing on what you didn't achieve or what you still need to do, take time to appreciate what you did accomplish and how it contributed to your well-being. Celebrating even the smallest achievements reinforces the idea that progress doesn't always have to be monumental. It can be found in the simple, everyday actions that align with your values and bring you peace. By redefining your goals to focus on the present moment, you begin to create a life that is more fulfilling, intentional, and in harmony with your values. You shift your focus from distant outcomes to the small, meaningful actions that make each day worthwhile. This approach not only reduces stress and frustration, but also cultivates a sense of contentment and peace. When you embrace the present moment as the foundation for your goals, you find that the journey itself becomes just as rewarding as the destination. In conclusion, Redefining goals for the present moment is an essential practice for living a life that is fulfilling, purposeful, and aligned with your values. By focusing on small, achievable goals that nourish your well being and bring you peace, you can experience greater joy and contentment in your daily life. Mindful goal setting helps you stay grounded in the present, allowing you to celebrate each step of your journey and find meaning in the here and now. Rather than chasing distant outcomes, you begin to live a life that is rich in purpose, connection, and fulfillment, embracing the present as the most important moment of all. Number 9, releasing guilt over prioritizing yourself. Releasing guilt over prioritizing yourself is one of the most empowering practices you can embrace, especially in a world where selflessness is often championed and personal needs are frequently sidelined. Many of us were raised to believe that taking care of ourselves first is selfish, that we should always put others' needs before our own. From a young age, we are taught to be considerate of others, to be the one who gives, who nurtures, and who sacrifices for the sake of others. This mindset can easily morph into a deeply ingrained belief that we are not worthy of attention or care unless we are meeting the needs of those around us. However, this notion of selflessness can be harmful if it leads to burnout, resentment, and neglect of our own well-being. The truth is, prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is essential. As the well-known saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you do not take care of your own physical, emotional, and mental health, you will have nothing left to give to others. When you are exhausted, overwhelmed, or depleted, your ability to care for those you love or fulfill your responsibilities is diminished. Therefore, taking time for yourself and attending to your needs is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-preservation and self-love. By nurturing yourself, you create a solid foundation from which you can offer your love, support, and compassion to others without feeling drained or resentful. The Buddha taught the importance of self-care as a foundation for helping others. In his teachings, he emphasized the need to cultivate inner peace and well-being, as these qualities enable individuals to better serve others. You cannot give what you do not have. When you are at peace, when your mind is clear, and when your body is nourished, you are in a much better position to share that peace with the world. Self-care is not only about meeting your own needs, but it also enhances your capacity to be present and compassionate with others. By taking care of yourself, you are more equipped to offer your support and love to those around you without depleting your own resources. However, many of us experience deep guilt when we take time for ourselves. We feel as though we should always be doing more for others, that our needs are secondary or less important. This guilt often stems from societal conditioning, familial expectations, and the pervasive belief that self-care is indulgent or unnecessary. In many cultures, especially those that emphasize collectivism, the focus is often placed on the needs of the group rather than the individual. While this can create a strong sense of community and support, it can also lead to neglecting the individual's needs for rest, rejuvenation, and personal fulfillment. Releasing this guilt is a crucial step toward living a balanced and harmonious life. It requires a shift in mindset, a recognition that caring for yourself is not only permissible, but also necessary. By embracing the idea that self-care is an integral part of your well-being, you free yourself from the internal struggle that arises when you take time for yourself. This shift allows you to let go of guilt and approach self-care with compassion, understanding that it is a vital component of living a healthy and fulfilled life. Mindful practice can be incredibly helpful in releasing guilt and embracing self-care. One effective way to begin this process is to set aside time each day to do something solely for yourself, without any expectations or ulterior motives. This can be something small and simple, such as enjoying a quiet cup of tea, taking a walk in nature, or meditating. The key is to allow yourself this time without guilt, knowing that it is essential for your well-being. The act of setting aside time for yourself each day helps you reconnect with your inner needs and desires. It serves as a reminder that you are worthy of care, attention, and rest. Whether it's 5 minutes of quiet reflection or an hour of self-care, these moments are an investment in your overall well-being. They provide you with the opportunity to recharge, reset, and return to the world with a clearer mind and a more open heart. It's important to approach this practice with mindfulness and self compassion. Rather than viewing this time as a luxury or something you only deserve when all your responsibilities are met, embrace it as a fundamental part of your routine. Just as you would make time for a meeting or a doctor's appointment, make time for self care without the pressure of guilt or judgment. Allow yourself to be present in these moments, fully immersing yourself in the activity, whether it's savoring each sip of tea, feeling the breeze on your skin during a walk, or focusing on your breath during meditation. This mindfulness deepens the experience and enhances the benefits of self care, as it encourages you to fully embrace the moment rather than rushing through it or feeling conflicted about it. In addition to daily practices of self care, it's also important to recognize that self care is not limited to physical acts of relaxation. It also includes setting emotional, mental, and relational boundaries. This means saying no when you need to, recognizing when you're overextended, and not feeling guilty for prioritizing your own needs. It's about recognizing your limits and taking proactive steps to protect your energy and well being. Setting boundaries can be an act of self love because it ensures that you don't sacrifice your peace and happiness for the sake of others. By practicing self care regularly and without guilt, you cultivate a deeper sense of self respect and inner peace. When you honor your own needs, you send a powerful message to yourself that you are worthy of love and care. This practice also allows you to cultivate a more compassionate relationship with others. As you learn to nurture and care for yourself, you naturally become more attuned to the needs of those around you, offering your love and support in a way that is sustainable and balanced. Releasing guilt over prioritizing yourself is an ongoing process that requires self awareness, compassion, and patience. It's a process of unlearning the harmful messages that have been ingrained in us and replacing them with the understanding that self care is a vital and necessary practice for a fulfilling life. The more you embrace this practice, the more you will come to recognize that your well being is the foundation for all that you do. You cannot be the best version of yourself for others if you are not first taking care of yourself. In conclusion, releasing guilt over prioritizing yourself is a transformative and empowering practice that enables you to live a more balanced, peaceful, and fulfilling life. By embracing self care as an essential part of your well being, you can release the burden of guilt and approach life with a clearer mind and a more open heart. Through mindful practice, you can begin to set aside time each day for yourself, acknowledging that you are worthy of care, rest, and nurturing. As you continue this practice, you will not only enhance your own well being, but also deepen your capacity to love and care for others in a sustainable and meaningful way. Letting go is not about loss, it's about creating space for something new. As you release these 9 burdens, you'll discover a lighter, freer version of yourself, one that's fully present, deeply grateful, and at peace. Life after 61 is not an ending, it's a beginning. Embrace it with open arms and an open heart. Thank you for watching, and may you find joy and mindfulness in every step of your journey.